So you've shared a fascinating stack of sources with us, and today we're tackling a topic that is, it's so much richer than it looks on the
It
surface.
really is.
We're going to move past the purely personal aspects of cross-dressing, identity or aesthetics, and really dive into its potential as a medium for collaborative creative expression.
Right. And as a tool for deepening intimacy within a partnership.
Exactly, within a committed, supportive partnership. That's the key.
That shift in perspective is, well, it's everything. Our sources show, pretty consistently, that when cross-dressing is shared, it stops being this private practice and it becomes a joint
A
endeavor.
collaborative art form, really.
A genuine collaborative art form, yeah.
Yeah.
For you, the listener, the core insight here is that this kind of creative play can unlock entirely new dimensions of connection. It lets couples merge that personal identity exploration with just a profound sense of relational enjoyment.
Absolutely. So think of this as a roadmap. We're showing you how to turn a personal interest into a shared adventure. Our mission today is to break down a few specific avenues for this collaboration. We'll cover how couples use visual art, how they can engage with, intense sensory experiences, the power of storytelling.
And finally, how they can use reflective practices to kind of solidify that bond and build this amazing archive of shared memories.
Okay, so let's unpack this. I think the natural place to start is the visual realm. That's where most creative work begins.
It is.
Photography is cited everywhere as this remarkably effective kind of natural outlet for capturing transformation. But it seems like it's more about documenting the connection during that transformation.
Yes, it creates a tangible, shareable record, for sure.
Mm.
But the deeper thing happening here is the establishment of what you could call aesthetic trust.
Aesthetic trust. Okay, what do you mean by that?
Well, a joint photography session, it's more than just posing. It requires the cross-dresser to trust their partner, and I mean trust them implicitly, with how their identity is being visually represented.
Even if it's just to each other.
Especially if it's just to each other. And what's really interesting is how the sources detail this formalization of collaborative roles.
Right. The partner who isn't cross-dressed isn't just a cheerleader on the sidelines.
Not at all. They become a functional part of the creative team. They're the stylist, the photographer, the lighting technician, maybe even the co-director of the whole scene.
Let's break that down. The stylist, for instance.
Okay, so the stylist is interpreting the cross-dresser's intent. Maybe they're suggesting a whole new character or a mood, just based on a subtle shift in accessories. The lighting technician, on the other hand, they're mastering the mood with shadows and light to affirm the persona, whether it's, soft and feminine or something really dramatic.
And that whole process must require a level of communication that you just skip in typical day-to-day conversation.
It absolutely does.
Right.
That process of negotiation, deciding on the character, the wardrobe, the setting, that's where the real relational work happens. It takes immense patience.
And mutual validation.
It does. And then the sources really highlight the ritual of reviewing the images together afterward. This isn't just documentation. It's a powerful ritual of recognition. It's celebrating when a character really lands, and it's also the shared, often humorous, critique of the attempts that, didn't quite work,
I can imagine it reinforces that sense of playfulness.
which is a massive, massive pillar of long-term intimacy.
So here's where it gets really interesting for me, moving beyond the camera lens. The sources also talk about turning this inspiration into non-photographic art. Things like sketches, paintings, digital art.
This takes the collaboration a step further. It moves from documentation into interpretation.
How so?
Well, imagine one partner posing, holding still for a while the other one sketches or paints. That demands such an intense, sustained focus. The artist is translating the three-dimensional reality of the wardrobe, the makeup, everything, into a totally new visual medium.
So what's being communicated in a sketch that a photo can't capture? What's the relational benefit there?
A photo is literal. A sketch or a painting, that's interpretive. The artist often captures these subconscious aspects of the character that the cross-dresser is aiming for but maybe couldn't even articulate.
Oh, wow.
The weight of the line, the choice of colors, the emphasis on certain features. These all become nonverbal signals about the mood, the character's inner life, or even just the partner's positive emotional reaction to that persona. It is an act of deep seeing.
An affirmation.
And affirmation, absolutely. Digital collaboration, using filters or illustration software, it offers a really similar path for co-creating and fine-tuning that shared vision.
That's a powerful look at visual collaboration. Okay, let's pivot. Let's move from the visible to the immersive. Let's talk about sensory and narrative play. Cross-dressing is already so sensory, but it seems couples can consciously amplify this for a deeper deeper connection.
Exactly. And what stands out here is how they turn basic grooming and dressing into this shared exploration of touch and smell. It provides a very direct, non-threatening way to heighten physical comfort and trust.
Can you give us some specific examples from the sources? How do they use materials to heighten sensation?
The sources detail this really focused experimentation with fabrics. And it's not just for how they look, but for how they feel.
Okay.
They might contrast the cool, smooth glide of silk against the skin with, say, the warm friction of velvet or the delicate roughness of lace. This shared focus on sensation encourages partners to guide each other, to touch the fabrics, to notice reactions. It turns dressing into something deeply intimate.
You're building a sensory vocabulary that's unique to the relationship.
That's a perfect way to put it.
And what about the olfactory dimension? Sense. That's such a powerful anchor for a memory.
A very powerful anchor. Couples integrate this by turning it into a shared ritual. One partner might apply a specific lotion or perfume to the other, really focusing their attention on one area, maybe choosing a scent that corresponds to the character they're playing that night.
That focused physical attention must strengthen intimacy in a big way.
Significantly. And because scents are so tightly linked to memory, developing a specific cross-dressing scent or a character perfume ensures that any time you encounter that scent in the future, it immediately triggers the memory and the emotion of that shared creative space.
You're creating a truly multi-sensory environment. So from there, it seems like a natural leap into performance and narrative play.
It is. This is where cross-dressing becomes a full-on theatrical activity.
A space for collaborative storytelling.
Truly collaborative improvisation. They move from just dressing up to developing detailed characters and building out entire scenarios. The sources mention specific themes like a historical drama, a playful fantasy scene.
And props are vital here, aren't they?
Right.
They're not just accessories, they're narrative triggers.
Precisely. A specific handbag, a pair of dramatic glasses, a fan, even a piece of furniture can instantly anchor the scene. And the partner who isn't cross-dressed plays a huge role here by setting up the scenario, suggesting a line of dialogue, or selecting the prop that kicks everything off.
It keeps both partners actively creating the world together.
Exactly.
And I love this emphasis on improvisation. They're not following a script. They're responding to each other in real time.
And that real-time negotiation is the relational goldmine.
Yeah.
If the cross-dresser adopts a haughty pose, the partner might respond by being deferential or maybe mischievous, challenging that dynamic. This interactive play builds communication skills that go way beyond surface-level conversation.
And the shared laughter, the emergent stories, that all creates a bank of unique memories.
It does. It reinforces that the partnership itself is a source of boundless creative joy.
So once you've created this whole world of visuals and narratives, the next crucial step is documentation. This section focuses on reflection, on creating tangible artifacts of the journey.
Yes, and this adds a really critical contemplative layer to the whole process.
How so?
It moves the experience from being, just temporary fun to being a meaningful recorded history. Documenting the progression, the style evolution, the emotional breakthroughs, it ensures that the growth is visible and celebrated over time.
These collaborative journals and memory books sound like so much more than just scrapbooks. What kind of written reflections are key here?
They're deep dives into the experience. The reflections aren't just, oh, I felt pretty. They're analytical. What character were we exploring? What challenges did we face with the wig? They're emotional. How did I feel when my partner first saw me in this outfit?
And relational, too, I imagine. Written by both partners.
Crucially, what was my perception of my partner's confidence tonight? What was the funniest moment we shared? That kind of thing.
So the contents are incredibly rich. Photos, sketches, fabric swatches, and these written dialogues. The book itself becomes a relational constitution of their shared creative life.
That's an excellent way to put it. By reviewing these records, they actively reinforce their understanding of each other, their mutual admiration. They can see how far they've come. The books themselves are a collaborative project.
Now, to make sure all this deep creative expression doesn't just fade away, the sources strongly advise integrating rituals. Consistency is key.
It is. Providing that playful structure is absolutely essential. It builds anticipation into the week, and it ensures the exploration is ongoing, even when life gets busy.
Right, but the sources must acknowledge the challenges there. Real life gets in the way.
It does.
So how do couples maintain these rituals against friction like different energy levels or just no time?
The advice is to build in flexibility. If they can't manage a full themed costume night, they pivot to A micro-ritual.
A micro ritual. I like that.
Yeah, maybe it's just 10 minutes of shared scent application before bed. Or a quick sketching session over coffee, focused on a favorite accessory.
The goal is frequency, not necessarily duration. So you have your weekly structured sessions like Monday night photo review, but always with the understanding that you can scale it down without abandoning the commitment.
Okay, so after this whole dive into the mechanics, let's pull back and synthesize the benefits. It's clearly about so much more than just a shared hobby. The benefits create this positive feedback loop. You see deepened intimacy and trust because of the explicit shared vulnerability that's required.
And for the crossdresser, enhanced self-expression and confidence, which is being affirmed by their partner.
Yes. And that mutual creativity, it leads to that unique shared language we mentioned earlier. They develop a shared aesthetic, visual cues, a style shorthand that enhances their nonverbal communication. The playfulness and joy embedded in collaborative art making, it boosts relational satisfaction significantly. And through the documentation, they achieve this reflective growth. I mean, this whole approach just weaves a rich tapestry where self-expression and the partnership nurture each other.
This is all incredibly practical, but for you, the listener, we need to offer some actionable advice. Where do you begin, especially with the vulnerability required?
The sources offer very specific guidance here. First, start simple. Focus on basic sketches or short, casual photo shoots. The stakes are low. Don't aim for technical perfection.
Prioritize playful experimentation. What about feedback? Let's say the stylist thinks an outfit clashes. How do you give constructive aesthetic criticism without causing emotional damage?
That's the critical point. They have to establish a kind of feedback contract. The sources suggest defining a boundary around feedback, maybe using a lighthearted safe word or an agreed-upon phrase to signal that, hey, I'm not in a receptive space right now.
Or conversely, to request that honest, unvarnished critique.
Right, and collaborate actively on all decisions. Both partners have to contribute ideas to make sure it never feels like a one-way performance.
And finally, the advice that's always true but seems especially important here: prioritize the relational experience over the visual outcome.
100%. If the photo session doesn't produce a great image but you had fun together, that is a success. Set boundaries around comfort and exposure before you start. And always reflect and celebrate, not just the beautiful photo, but the growth in the shared vulnerability.
It's clear that by applying these steps, cross-dressing is transformed. It moves from a private exploration into this dynamic, ongoing creative collaboration, a shared celebratory practice.
It becomes a living canvas of love, creativity, and shared adventure.
It really does.
I mean, creativity demands vulnerability, and shared vulnerability is the fuel of intimacy.